Hello, today I'll be showing you my CD collection for Dream Theater, Fates Warning, Queensryche, and Symphony X. So yeah, with this video we'll be focusing on progressive metal. So let's first start off with Dream Theater, starting with the album that started it all, and that is When Dream and Day Unite. Then we got When Dream and Day Reunite, and this is a part of a bootleg series that they did. And then we got their big album, Images and Words, definitely one of their best. And then we got this live album here, live at the Marquee. However you pronounce that, but either way, pretty cool to have in the collection. And then we have Awake. Honestly, this album and Images and Words kind of fight for being my favorite Dream Theater album. This album is definitely excellent. And then we got Change of Seasons, which title track, definitely a top 5 Dream Theater song for me. And then we got Falling into Infinity, kind of an underrated album. Then we got Scenes from a Memory. And then we got 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. Then we got Train of Thought, one of my personal favorites from the band actually, and also one of their heaviest. And then we got Octavarium. And then we got Systematic Chaos. And then we got Greatest Hit and 21 other pretty cool songs, which is a compilation. And then we got Black Clouds and Silver Linings, the last album with Mike Portnoy. Then we got Original Album Series by Dream Theater. Then we got our Dramatic Turn of Events, first album with Mike Mangini. Then we got the self-titled. Then we got the Astonishing. Now we'll be moving to some art books, starting with Distance Over Time, which when it comes to their modern work, I think, or at least the albums so far with Mike Mangini, I think this is probably the best one. Even though it's the shortest of the Mangini albums, I think this album is still pretty good. Then we got another art book. This time it'll be for their latest album, A View from the Top of the World. So yeah, these are actually pretty cool to have. I wouldn't say they're cheap, but either way, still pretty cool to have. But yeah, that is it for Dream Theater. Let's go ahead and move on to Fates Warning, starting with their debut album, Night on Brocken. And then we got The Spectre Within. Then we got Awaken the Guardian, which I'd say is one of their best. Also the best of the John Arch era, in my opinion. And then we got No Exit, definitely one of their best, I'd say. And then we got Perfect Symmetry, which at this point, probably my favorite Fates Warning album. Pretty dang good. And then we move to arguably their most commercially successful album, and that is Parallels. Pretty good album. And then we got Inside Out, which I think is somewhat kind of an underrated album from them. Then move to Chasing Time, which is a compilation. Then we got A Pleasant Shade of Grey, which is a pretty interesting listen, but also pretty cool. Then we got Still Life. And we got Disconnected, which I think has a few underrated songs on it. Pieces of Me and One being a couple songs that I think are kind of overlooked. Not typical Fate's Warning, but I do like those songs, and I do overall like the album. Then we got FWX, which in my opinion is probably their worst, but not terrible. Then we got their comeback album, Darkness in a Different Light. Then we got Theories of Flight, and of the 3 albums that they've done so far since their comeback, I think this is the best of the 3. Then we move to their latest album, Long Day, Good Night. Overall, pretty solid album. So yeah, that is it for Fate's Warning. Let's go ahead and move on to Queensryche, starting with the EP, the self-titled EP. We got their debut album, The Warning. So yeah, Queensryche. I'm going to be seeing them. I'll be seeing them live tomorrow, actually, and it'll be my second time seeing them. So definitely really looking forward to that. But next we have Reach for Order. But yeah, I'm going to be seeing the band at Northern Quest, and again, pretty pumped. I mean, I was pretty impressed with the last show, with the last time I saw them. So again, definitely really looking forward to seeing them again. Next we move to probably my favorite album by them, Operation Mindcrime. Definitely one of the greatest concept albums of all time, especially in the world of rock and metal. Next we have arguably maybe their most commercially successful album, and that is Empire. Another album that I think is one of their best. Then we move to an album that I think is somewhat underrated, and also honestly one of my personal favorites from the band, and that is Promised Land. Arguably maybe their most darkest and maybe their slowest too, but I think this overall pretty interesting listen, and again, one of my personal favorites. Then we move to Here in the Now Frontier, and this album to me is okay. Then we got Q2K. Then we got Live Evolution. Then we got Tribe. Kind of an underrated album. Honestly, of the albums that they did in the 2000s, I think this is really the only good one or decent one. Then we move to Operation Mindcrime 2, which I think is personally kind of a pile of poo. But if you like the album, more power to you. But never been a big fan of this album. Then we got Mindcrime at the Moor, a live album. Then we got Take Cover, which is a covers album. Then we got American Soldier. Then you move to their worst album, in my opinion, Dedicated to Chaos. And yeah, I got the special edition. So yeah, I got the special edition of their worst album. But next we have Frequency Unknown, another album I think is one of their worst. Then we got their self-titled album, first album with Tyler Torrey. And then I think they do even better with this album, Conditioned Human. Then move to the album that I think is the best that they've done so far with the Todd era, and that is The Verdict. And I also have my name in the liner notes too. And then we move to their latest album, Digital Noise Alliance. And the last thing I do want to show for Queensryche is that I also have Operation Live Crime. Kind of cool. Comes with a CD and I believe, if I remember correctly, a VHS. Been a while since I've opened this, but either way, pretty cool to have. So that's it for Queensryche. Let's go ahead and move on to the final band for this video, and that is Symphony X. Starting with their self-titled debut. Decent album. And then we got Damnation Game. And we got Divine Wings of Tragedy. Twilight in Olympus. Kind of an underrated album. I actually really dig this album. Then we move to my favorite Symphony X album, V, The New Mythology Suite. Really good album. And if you haven't heard that album and you like progressive metal, please check out that album. Then we got this live album here, Live on the Edge of Forever. Then I got the sampler CD, the Odyssey CD sampler, obviously used to help promote their album, The Odyssey. Pretty cool to have. I believe I got this from Discogs. Definitely a great place to find odd, rare stuff, or stuff that you maybe never would have thought existed. Either way, Discogs is definitely a great place to find CDs. Next we have The Odyssey, an album that I think is definitely one of their best. Then we got Paradise Lost. And this album has pretty interesting packaging for sure. Yeah, that's the packaging right here. So yeah, definitely really cool, definitely unique for sure. And then we got Iconoclast. Then their most recent album, which is Underworld from 2015. So yeah, those are my CD collections for these 4 bands here. Let me know your thoughts on my CD collections for these bands. Let me know what CDs you have from these bands and all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe, have a nice day, and take care.